Hello, hello.
Hi.
How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So here we are.
Yep.
Your Thursday night show. Last Thursday we had Duncan on. He was amazing.
Yes, he was. He was amazing.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the White Lady. The White Lady. Have you heard about the White Lady? Have you seen the White Lady?
I don't know if I necessarily saw the White Lady, but I have seen things like in like kind of graveyard areas where it looks like a white lady. It's a white misty thing. Some people that I have been investigating with have said like that's the white lady, and so maybe I did see it, but it's hard to say for sure when it's like kind of far and it's dark and it's white and misty. I really wish it would have been closer.
Well, I'm going to have a lot of stories to tell about the two-story house that we just moved out of, and we did see a white lady there. A lot of so the first time someone saw it, it was like at the top of the stairs. It looked like a woman, all white, just looking down. Now my daughter, her room was right there at the top of the stairs,
Mm.
and she would always wake up and she would see like a white lady walking like she had a light in her hand. And she always thought it was me because I would get up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go to work. But it never was me because the times that she saw, I was either gone for work, I was still sleeping. But it was definitely like a lady dressed in white with a light in her hand, holding a light. And so there was also some weird things that were happening on the staircase, like people were getting pushed and things. So there was also other spirits and things in that house. But
Wow.
the occasion where a couple people did see the white lady. So she did like to stand at the top of the stairs and look down and then walk
Mm.
up and down the hallway.
Oh, I used to have dreams about the white lady. But then, I think because you're in the paranormal, you hear a lot about certain things. And then you wonder, am I seeing the white lady? Am I just dreaming about things I hear about? So it's interesting because I remember waking up multiple times thinking about it, remembering it.
One of the things that we like to do is we like to talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren and what their findings were, and they talk about the white lady. In fact, Ed has drawn a picture of her, which I'll try to show here too. But let me play the video, just a few minutes of where he's describing where he went to the cemetery and he's describing the white lady. Okay, so let me push play.
I could hear what sounded like a woman weeping. I picked up my camera. I had a camcorder alongside of me, and I had the tripod set up outside. I didn't want to leave the camera out there because of the humidity. I took the camera out, and I could see all these ghost lights suddenly forming into a figure of a woman. Now, the film that I took of this spirit looks as though it's very far away. Actually, it was very close to me. It wasn't that very far away. And I put the camera up to my eye, and I let it go, and I couldn't see anything. I took my eye away, and I could see her. I immediately put the camera on the tripod and let it run, and I started to walk toward her as she was coming towards me, and she disappeared. Now, I knew I shouldn't do that, so I backed up again, and she came back into focus. At that point, she started to come towards me, moving through the tombstones, and these black things, which I can only describe as looking like kind of like black poodles, were jumping up against her. We call these here wood ghosts or shadow ghosts. And they were trying to stop her from getting to me. Now, all this is taking place, you understand, in just a minute or two. And then she moves towards me and moves away, and this huge shadow ghost pushed her towards Route 59, and that was it. I packed up the camera real quick. I ran home in the car, I drove home. I woke Lorraine up and I said, "You're not going to believe what happened." We put it on the VCR, and there it was. I had captured it. Now, understand.
Okay, so now do you hear the part where he saw like little dark shadows like pooling
Mhm.
going around? Okay, so we
Yeah.
had the same thing.
Mhm.
We had the same thing going on in our house. Um,
Wow.
so in
Now,
my
I
mom,
have actually seen those, the big ones, floating through the house, multiple houses that I've been in. So I think I had the exact same experience about that with that you had.
well, okay, so my mom's room was at the top of the stairs too. So you go into my daughter's room, but if you go a little bit right, there's my mom's room. And
Mhm.
she said there was always like little dogs running around, little shadows. When after we moved out, we actually did a little investigation and we picked up growling in there and like little dog figures and things.
Mm.
So what I wonder what it is with those little shadow dogs and the white lady. Ed was saying that they were like keeping the white lady surrounded and kind of trapped,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
pushed her out onto the road. So
Yeah.
what the
People have
heck?
actually claimed that they have come into the cemetery where they've actually seen that exact same white lady that he saw, and they have heard like the black darkness shadow things around it, and she's arguing back and forth with them, and I think she's trying to leave and they're trying to keep her there.
Yes. What the heck?
Yeah, it's very weird. When I watched this documentary, it's so bizarre to me because I've told this story before. I'm not even going to get into the whole thing, but I know you guys, anyone who watches knows this crazy story about how paranormal started for me. And when I hear stories like this about how um, the spirits appear in this guy's car and then he sees the white lady and it's like, whoa, kind of takes me back. It's like, oh God. But it was a little bit opposite for me because as a child, I actually got into a car with someone who at the time I didn't know, I was like 5 years old, had already passed on way before I was born. So we'll get into that another time. But anyway, it reminded me of that story. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like, I can't imagine driving down the road and then all of a sudden you look over and there's like someone there and then you look back and then they're not there. And then you're like, I know I just saw that person. So that's a lot for some people to deal with. Like if you're a paranormal, investigator and you crave to see that, you'd probably be like super excited. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that. But if you're just a regular everyday dude driving down the street and then you see not only one, but two spirits at the same time, it's like, oh wow.
So it going further on in the video, there's pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and show those. Hold on.
I would love to get my hands on some of those.
Okay, so 13:30.
Can you imagine owning some of his drawings, Kim?
Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine. I'm sure there's just, a ton of people out there who own them, or you at least used to. Who knows?
It was a lot of tragedy. A lot of tragedy.
Started in 1760.
I switched from State Farm because of it. I'm paying $100 a month for my
17.
Oh, the ads.
There it is.
59.
Route 59 and
that's no
Sport.
longer there.
Yes, Sport Hill
Next,
Road.
you're going to see a painting that I did way back in 1968 when
Yes.
people were telling me what they were seeing at the Union Graveyard. Here's Lorraine and I, America's top Ghostbusters, traveling to Australia, traveling to Europe, traveling to Mexico, Canada, across the country, looking for ghosts, and they're right in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this painting, an illustration of the White Lady in 1969.
This is
So
what
that shows how long ago
1969
we've
it
been
was.
hearing about
Okay,
it.
let's see the next slide if we could.
There it is, Tony.
Wow.
Now
Now,
that's
this
one
I'll
of the
give you the
original.
sky.
Your rendition of the White Lady.
That's
That
yes.
was my impression of the White Lady that I painted of her, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you the fog that always surrounds it.
Okay. Hi, Candy. Welcome to Midnight GypZies.
Hi. Okay.
He rolled down the window and he asked her if she needed help, and she just looked at him shook her head, and she disappeared. Now, these are the kinds of experiences we had. Now, you'll see some of the pictures taken.
What else do we have, Ed?
All right. That's Union Graveyard, and that fog-like substance that you see there, of course, is the electromagnetic energy which the spirits use to manifest themselves. They form into a figure of a man, a woman, or a child. Now, you'll also see ghost globules in some of these other pictures.
Okay. Well, whenever the next one comes up, we'll examine that one.
Okay. Now, that's what we call our
ballerina ghosts.
ballerinas. You notice that the torsos have appendage like arms and legs. They're spreading out all over the place.
They look like they're dancing right across.
Right there, you see at least 4 different ghostly figures.
Now,
This was not seen by the people taking the pictures.
Was it taken by a professional photographer?
No. These are taken by people from all walks of life, from housewives to high school kids to college to scientists to police officers and right on up.
Oh, there are numerous people, Tony.
And one more thing is the electromagnetic energy.
The slide that was up.
Okay.
That was the
This is
graveyard.
electromagnetic energy. I call this my Jack Palance ghost. You can see the sort of like the sharp chin and the eyes and the face and everything. And a lot of people though see a woman there, sort of dancing across that graveyard. You notice the torso and the legs.
Yes, I can
Do we
see
have
it.
the next one?
Okay, next slide, please, when you get a chance. So, Rod.
So,
So the guest that they have here, if anyone hasn't seen this documentary, or actually, I'm not even sure if it's a documentary, just like they were just a guest on his show, but he is actually the guy we're talking about who had the spirit show up in his car, and then he saw the white lady. And this was like, I think he said just a couple of days after, was it before or after? I can't remember, like right after Ed saw it, I think. And when Ed said he saw the lady, he literally went and parked in the graveyard and stayed there. Like he would drive over there at midnight and park there and wait until something would happen. 7 days in a row, he said he waited till it finally showed itself. And he said he couldn't stand it. He had to get home and show Lorraine. That would be us. I gotta get home.
So people are trying to figure out what it is, and what they're saying is those ghost globules, orbs.
Yep.
They start gathering together. They mix with electromagnetic energy, and it becomes a ghost-like veil that hovers over the cemetery. So, whatever electromagnetic energy. Now, that other guy that saw on that video, the guy that saw the white lady, went up to his car. Several times when he would drive by there, he would start getting really, really sad. And so
that's right.
They were describing that he was having something called radio telethesis, which is they absorb the anguish of the spirit, like the trouble.
That's right, exactly right. Yeah.
They absorb that, and they.
He said, I think, I don't remember what year that was, but he said in the video it happened. I think he said, like, was it 6 years before the interview or something like that? And maybe it was 3 years. I can't remember how many years it had been. But anyway, he said he still to this day in the video feels that way sometimes, where things will just, he'll feel overwhelmed and sad and depressed and like just like that anguish, sadness, and like he wants to cry. And sometimes it literally brings him to tears. And,
so, do you remember what Duncan was telling us about once you get touched by something from like?
Yes, I do.
An entity that it stays with you. It creates like a link.
Yes, I do. I know we talked about this before. A couple years ago, I had an experience where something attached itself to me at a hotel, and it took me quite a while. And sometimes I still almost wonder if there's some kind of connection because I think about it quite often. And, it makes you wonder. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I was cleansed, but it was literally like months later. So like, you know, you obviously know me, and I'm a very like happy, outgoing, love to travel, and very, you know, friendly and sociable. And this is just like my life. And it was all of a sudden like I became this inclusive, like not inclusive, but include. What do you call that? Recluse. Okay. And so I didn't want to go anywhere. I would wake up depressed. I'd be like depressed all day, crying all day. I would barely leave my bedroom. I mean, it was just crazy. And this went on for months. Like, I don't think I left my house for probably like, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks. I don't remember. It was just like time just sort of like was the same every day. It was Groundhog's Day. I would wake up. It'd be depressing. I would want to cry. I just felt like, whose emotions am I dealing with? Because this is not me.
So even just seeing something like when your friend, we're going to have your friend on next week that's going to talk about seeing like a reptilian in the street.
Oh, that's actually 2 weeks from tonight. I have a different friend, Julia Drehos from the show that we did.
See something, you create a psychic link. And you basically can be linked up together, and those entities can put their emotions and thoughts onto you.
Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. Well, I knew the history of this. Excuse me. I knew the history of the person who had died in the hotel. And the weird thing is, even after I got home and I was feeling like, I guess, identical feelings. Like, I mean, it was to the point of even thinking of suicide, like almost on a daily basis. Okay. That's so not like me. I am just.
Did somebody commit suicide in that hotel?
A woman hung herself. I think it was back in like the, I think it was the 40s, if I can remember right. But anyway, we don't know exactly the whole situation. All we know is I stayed in the room that she killed herself in, and I had a huge connection. Yeah, I was actually there.
Yeah, so you were just picking up, you had that psychic connection. So I tried to do some research on what the white lady is. This is a couple of things that I was able to pick up just from Wikipedia. These eyelashes. Okay, so it's a type of a female ghost, number one. And number two, they're found in many countries, okay? And they're always wearing a white dress or a similar garment. That's what trips me out, is why are they all around the world? They're also associated with legends of accidental deaths, murders, suicide, loss, betrayal, you know, and things like they can appear in a house where a family member is soon to die. Okay. So so I'm going to connect the dots to some other entities that are similar, but they can appear in photos of people that are going to die or just died. Okay. They could be ghosts of deceased ancestors. It even says coming to get people.
Interesting.
And then they can also be bound to a certain area, like a cemetery or something. So,
do you ever notice that when most people tell a story of seeing a spirit, and if it's a woman, it's usually a woman in a white dress?
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the last 23 years of talking to people at different locations. It doesn't matter where it is. It's a house, it's a hospital, it's whatever. A graveyard, someone walking down the street. It's always a woman in a white dress. It's very odd. I've never in all the years, I'm not even kidding you, I've never heard anyone say, oh, you know, it was a woman in a red dress, or it was polka dots, or this or that. It was nothing.
Always a white dress. And a lot of them see like their hair looks like their hair's in front of their face.
That's right. Okay, so I actually did have an experience. I didn't physically see this. It was something that we saw later. Okay, so I was actually on, and it wasn't even for a paranormal investigation at all. Okay, so I was actually in an area with friends, and we were doing something completely, entirely different. And we just happened to be scanning and taking pictures and just, I think a friend of mine even had a drone and maybe had, was doing some stuff. But anyway, later we had pictures and we had video of all these different like locations, and it was just like the middle of no man's land. Okay. Nobody should be out there. And they actually caught on video it looked like a girl standing in a white dress in the woods, and her hair looked like it was just like black.
Yeah, I watched that video. I was going to play it for you. But
well, so I don't know if that's the same one, but some friends of mine caught that years ago, and it just blew our mind because none of us saw it. I mean, we were right there.
There's a video. There's several videos out there. I don't know if I believe it all, but there is something that I'm going to play at the end of this podcast that will scare the crap out of you. Okay.
Okay.
Let me move on. So in France, in the French area and like the Pyrenees and stuff like that, those white ladies are called dames blanches, or like white ladies. Dames blanche is white. And they're compared to the elven, okay? Elven-like spirits. Some believe they were the pre-Christian female goddesses. They're also similar to the German, what the German folklore calls the Frauen, which are light elves made of light.
Interesting.
Yeah, they call them ancestral spirits, and they call them heavenly, that they might be trapped in between heaven and earth, and so they're getting the light of heaven, but yet you could see them, they're trapped. There's also another entity they like to compare them with. It's called the neck, or the water spirits, which are dragons or mermaids. They're just like the banshee, okay? The banshees like to lure women and children into the water. So the banshee also come to warn family members of death. They're also crying and wailing. I just thought of something. Okay, the banshee, those are ancestral spirits, possibly, that come to your family members to wail, to cry, to either alarm, to alert you of danger, or to warn you that there's going to be a family member dying. And in that house, someone did just die after that,
Wow.
So check this out. What if they're seen in the cemeteries because those are their families? They're like the banshees, and they're crying over those family members. There's some kind of weird connection with the weeping and things like that. They're also seen a lot of times around the water or in the mist. There's folklore about them trying to drag women and children into the water, and then those children disappear. So
like you had mentioned something a minute ago about how most of the spirits that people see are here because something horrible happened to them. And I absolutely believe that if you have a death, like an accidental or murdered, or something horrible happens to you, and it's technically not your time to go. I know some people believe like if you die, it's your time. Okay, I don't believe that. I don't believe if you take your own life, it was your time. I don't believe if you're murdered, it's your time. And I think what happens is something happens with the plan, okay? And you weren't supposed to go yet. And so your path is stuck because you weren't supposed to leave Earth. And so your soul doesn't know where to go. It's stuck.
Very good. Very, very good. So let me so they say that that they're trapped between spirit world and human world. And so what they're saying is there's a lot of stories where so women have lost their children, or lost loved ones, or was betrayed, or they lost their love of their lives. So can you imagine if longing longing to find your child that you lost or that died, or a husband you loved, that female spirit being just stuck here and just
Okay.
wandering and crying. I mean, does that make sense?
Actually, it does, because when I communicate, when I actually put myself in a place where I mentally communicate, it's not like you and I talking. I can pick up on what spirit went through, what the location looked like. It's almost like little movie pictures happening.
Mm-hmm.
And what is going on is they don't understand what happened to them. So one minute they're here, the next minute they're not, and they're in a state of confusion. And
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to find my notes.
Like if someone took their life, or in so many different ways, and like, please, I don't want to offend anybody if I say something, please don't get upset with me, but I'm saying, like, including suicide, I think they're not in a emotional and mental state of, they're not healthy in the moment. And I think what happens is they make decisions that they wouldn't normally make. And so, people take their lives. You're not going to find someone who's completely happy and their mental health, I can speak, is in a good place, and then go take your own life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're literally dealing with either mental problems, emotional problems, depression. I mean, who knows what? There's so many reasons why people do this. So I think it has a lot to do with that. And then when they do die, they enter this realm of confusion. Like, they don't know why it happened.
You're like really, really spot on, because I found some other notes. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, David.
So, okay. So let me go over my notes. They were saying that a lot of these are lost souls, which is a wandering, drifting spirit in like a dream state. Okay.
Mhm.
It says sometimes these souls are awake and adrift, but they're often in fear of some sort, because it knows it's dead or disconnected, but it can't find its way home.
Absolutely.
So imagine, okay, so Ed and Lorraine talk about going over to the UK or to one of those castles where they had like dungeons, and where they would, like torture people. So what happens when you get tortured is your mind leaves and you get disconnected. If you die in that state and you break that cord, then that your soul is just wandering and lost. It is just lost. So
yeah,
it's like a dream state.
Yeah, 100%. And I absolutely think that some of them don't even understand that they're dead.
Right. And then it says, and then they're adrift and they're fearful. But if they have these little black like demon things chasing them, keeping them in fear, I think they're being tormented. Even in that other realm, they're being tormented.
Mm-hmm.
But and then now the Netherlands, they have their version of what they say it is. The white lady, they call them mythical creatures. They call them white maidens. Sometimes they're referred to as witches or banshees, fairies or elves. So sometimes they abduct babies. Sometimes they aid in childbirth, or they offer good advice. But the important color to remember is white. Why is, so again, their folklore and all around the world, they're connecting them with fairies, banshees, witches, mermaids, all the mythical creatures.
Absolutely. I've never once, in all the years I've been in the paranormal, there's been a lot of times where I'll do an investigation, like far away, and I won't even be on the location, and I can talk to people and tell them like what's going on, and things that had happened and things to look for and stuff like that. And I've never once in 23 years have I ever heard someone say like, oh, we saw a spirit and she was in a blue dress with blonde hair. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's always the same story. White dress, dark black hair, always black hair. Even if it's a child, I've never heard anyone say, oh, this child, she was a blonde. Now, I'm not saying no one on earth has ever seen that. Okay. Maybe they have. I just personally haven't heard that. So, I just don't know. I don't know why. It's always the same story.
Other things are they're associated with wisps of fog,
Mhm.
which also the fairies or the fae are also associated with the fog. Sometimes they're called white witch. So the banshee now are women of the fairy mound, and they have a sweet singing virgin voice. They have invisible powers. Their wailing would be a harbinger of death or warning people of danger. And so, linking them now to the fairy or the fae are spirits of nature. They're magical creatures. They have powers. They play tricks and things. They also use an atmospheric ghost light seen by travelers at night over bogs, swamps, and marshes, or they're called jack-o'-lanterns. Now they're the ones that you see that light. They also are attached to orbs, and they're called ghost lights. The ghost lights and the ghost goggles that Ed and Lauren talk about. And then there's like different types of like fairy. Like there's a fireball witch. It takes the form of a flame at night. Pixies. They live in the fairy realm. Sometimes they compare them to angels, but I don't even want to get into that tonight because that's like that's a whole nother topic is angels. And so
get off on any other topic and it's in a whole other show.
It's
funny you mentioned fairies and pixies and things like that. Okay, just real interesting. I actually never even really thought about this until you said that. I went to go see a psychic. Like this was probably like, oh gosh, maybe 3 or 4 years ago or so. And it was like I thought it was all just fun and entertainment. I mean, she didn't really say too much in depth. But right before I left, she touched my hand and she said, you're from the land of the fairies or something in that matter. And I just kind of went,
really?
Yes. And it was very weird because when I first showed up there, we made eye contact and she said, I know you're psychic intuitive. And I didn't really say too much because I didn't want her to like know too much about me. And so I sat there and she, like I said, look, I'm not looking for any like love answers or anything like that. I'm really here to sort of have fun and enjoy it. But when I left, when she touched me, it was almost like, when you touch somebody and you get that shock, it was kind of like that weird spark, like someone shocks you, and you're just like, oh. And
static electricity, you get shocked.
Yes. And but it was very weird because like she hadn't mentioned anything prior to that, but just kind of looked at me and said, like, I know where you're from. You're from the land of the fairies. And I just thought like, okay. And left and never really thought too much about it. Nothing in my life ever came of that, or I never made too much about it or whatever. But it's interesting because I hear you every once in a while bring up like the fairies and things like that. And I never really learned too much about it. So it'd be interesting to like, figure out what was that?
Huh?
I would just like to know, like, what was that? What'd she say that for?
Okay. So there's a lot of talk about the fairy or the fae.
Yeah, we'll have a whole show maybe one day about that. I'm curious to learn more about that too.
Well, no, it's just funny that you say that you're connected to the fairies because so am I, and I've been told the same thing.
Hmm.
So, one of my friends who's super, 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 super psychic, when he met me, he said, "You have little fairies that fly around you and tell you things, don't you?" And I go, and
Is
I
it
just
me?
laughed. I laughed because it was just the funniest thing because it's yes, I have been touched by a fairy. So
Wow.
in in Las Vegas several years ago, we were having a drought. And so I was in the backyard, and the backyard was a huge garden and plants and trees and roses, and it started to die. So I would be out there all hours of the night for day on end, just watering, watering, watering. And this one time it was like almost where the sun was going to set, and something kept touching me, and I thought it was a bug, and I was going like that, and something kept touching me. And I'm like, oh, I started getting creeped out. I'm like, wow, what is touching me? So then it came over to the other side, and it was going like this. So I said, you know what? That's weird. So I turned and looked to the right, and I saw this thing fluttering like this, and they had a ball of light, and you could almost just see the energy around it, and it backed off like that, and it was kind of like that, and then it just went down to a ball of light, and then it just disappeared.
Wow.
So, and then I've had experiences where I've kind of been in touch with the fairy realm. Now, I also have had my past lives done, and had lifetimes over there as a druid and in Ireland, and what makes you and I connected is because, like, my mom, her family, or her mom is Welsh and Irish, and her dad was English, and that's so
Yeah.
So
Same
and
with
then
my
you have some of that, and then I'm not going to go into the other things that I've dealt with, but I've had that fog come to me and open up, and there was like people must have known me. They were talking to me, yelling at me because I wasn't doing what I'm supposed to do. My hair was blowing back. But yeah, and that's the stories of the fairy realm, or the other realm, where back in the stories, where King Arthur and them, that fog would open up and they would get taken by these gorgeous women that would sing and everything. So there's all the stories about that over there, and it's just kind of funny how it's like a light energy. It's like a I can't really explain it. I'm not going to go into it anymore. We'll get into that maybe next time or the next time or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know if that's the same as the white lady that hangs around in cemeteries or walks down the street.
I honestly think that the white ladies are literally, I do believe they are female, and I do believe that they were once human, and that they are in a realm of literal confusion.
Yeah.
And they don't know like where to go. They literally just don't understand why they're there. Why are, I'm not even sure if they believe they're dead, to be honest. And I think that's why when certain people find the white lady, especially in that one specific cemetery that Ed and Lorraine are talking about in that show, is that because I think what is going on with that is that if, like I said, if you die, whatever the circumstance was of this white lady, okay, what if she got hit by a car? What if she was murdered? What if she, who knows what? I don't know what happened to this woman and who she is. And I'm not sure if anyone knows exactly who she is. But these people claim that they hear her arguing with these little black, shadow people. And so I think it's her literally saying, like, why am I here? Get away from me. What, why are you holding me here? And I think she's literally in a state of confusion. Like, she does not understand why she's there. And I think she's looking for help. And I think that's why people see her, because she's constantly, I think, looking to figure it out or find out why she's there.
Okay, and they literally. Whoa, what was that? Those little animals were pushing her out of the cemetery and into the road. They were like, get out of the cemetery. So who knows what's going on, but I'd be interested if anyone had any feedback.
Yeah, if anyone else out there knows anything more about that story, I'd love to, know about it, because it's very interesting. It's not the only, obviously, white lady anyone's ever seen or, taken pictures of or anything like that. But the fact that a lot of people have seen her, it's not just hit and miss. I guess it's actual quite often people, actually do see her. Do you know what the state, the town and the state and all that cemetery is in?
Union something, wherever they lived. The
Okay.
name of the video, you'll go to the official Ed and Lorraine Warren channel, and you'll see the video that says exclusive, footage for the white lady. But I want to show you something really, really scary.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if it's a real. It's like a 2-minute video. It'll like scare you. So hold on, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, I can tell. I'm in trouble.
Let me move it up a little. Wait. Sorry.
Is that someone taking the video talking?
Yeah,
It's like a
can
witch.
see her. They can see her?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Watch.
Oh my gosh. It's coming up to them? Oh no.
It's going to start running. Watch. Now, how is the old lady going to run this fast? Now, watch.
Oh God, it's going to come near them? Oh
yeah,
God.
they're scared of it. And then when it goes away, they go back up to it, and then it comes back after them. But you see how the hair's down in the...
Yeah. Well, you can see it walking. Wow, that would scare me to death. Oh, its head's hanging down. What are they doing? Backing up?
Look at it. Look at it running.
Oh God! Look, it's coming after them. Oh God, I would die. I bet they're freaking out. Oh my God, look at it. Oh God, that's crazy freaky. That is not human. That is not a human. There's no, unless that's literally.
Look at it. Look how it walks.
Unless they're playing a joke.
If it's a joke, it's pretty damn scary.
That's crazy. Why don't they just leave? Why don't they just leave?
Oh, isn't that crazy?
Oh my God. Where in the world?
That is real witch scene. Extremely shocking video. So.
That's crazy.
All right. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's insane. I've never seen anything like that, like in person, where it's just like, what is that? That's crazy, crazy. I mean, that's insane. That's like, that's like up there with Mothman, when people go out and drive out, and Mothman scares the crap out of me. But I saw something one time. I still to this day have no idea what it was. And I was with a friend of mine. Now, God, this is way back, way, way back. I mean, it was probably like, oh Lord, let's see. I'm going to say like, maybe year 2000. Okay. So it's been like a long time. And I was out at my parents' house and they live in the country. Oh, this is real quick. And so a friend of mine was there and they live like 20 miles from town. And it's like way out in the middle of foothills country. It's dark, dark, dark. There's no city lights anywhere. And we're coming around the corner and we get on the main road. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this blue light, you could see it coming. I remember it came from the left to the right. And it was like a ball of light, but it shot across like real fast. So the light went, and then you could see it like a streak, right? Well, you would think if it was just a light, it would go in front of the car. It didn't go in front of the car. It went through the car. Like I was driving, my friend sitting there, and it came inside the car and went out the passenger side. And we just went like, what was that? Like, what was that? Like, what could possibly do that? We were just like insanely just like dumbfounded. And we just kept driving in front like 10 minutes. It was dead silent in the car. Like our brains couldn't even like make sense of what just happened. And I'm like, what could possibly do that? I've never seen anything like it ever. Never. It was like the weirdest thing. But when I see weird things like that on videos, I'm like, it always reminds me of that bizarre blue light. We didn't see like a crazy witch, thank God. But there's a lot of things in the world you can't explain. Who knows?
Yeah. I can't explain. I can't explain what that white lady is. And I can't explain why a lot of people like will see them just walking on the side of the road, just like they're lost. Walking on the road. Just like
yeah. I used to watch this show and I actually had to stop watching it because one of the episodes literally scared the crap out of me. And I was like, all right, I'm done. And not a lot scares me, but it was a series about what people would claim they really lived through. And so when I started thinking like, okay, if someone really lived through this and that thing's really real, I don't want any more of that. I don't want that thing in my house, my life, nothing. And so I literally had to stop watching it. So, and this was like way back when, but it makes you wonder, like, how many different things are there?
Well, let me just share some more about the haunted house we lived in. Okay.
Okay.
So this was the 5-bedroom, 2-story house, kind of old. And we started having, like the white lady was probably one of the first things we saw. And then, like Rocky's stepdad died right after that. And then we started seeing like a hooded figure, like a dark hooded figure. We started having things sit on our bed and touch us and stand in the room and call our name out. Then my mom started seeing like a hooded being that like with a scary skeleton face.
Wow.
Poking at her, pulling her off the bed, poking a lot. And she would like open her eyes and would be right there, like trying to scare her. And then it tried to push her down the stairs and she ended up holding on. Like Rocky's stepdad he fell down the stairs. He got pushed the same place that Rocky got pushed when we were trying to move out. But back to my mom, she woke up and that thing had its fangs stuck in her arms.
Oh my God.
She literally had a hole in her arm, and she would hear growling. She would see like a little dog. I would hear like this
That's scary.
raspy demon voice talking to me about the stairs, like go down the stairs or something about the stairs. And then like
Yep.
we were just all seeing weird things, and my daughter would see the white lady, and then towards the very end we were getting that horrible stench. It was like rotted, like a rotted smell was just coming out of everywhere. The landlords ended up coming and pulling out all the plumbing, and they were just destroying the house, like digging up the house. The whole house was pulled. It was like, let's go. This was like
Yeah.
like that. What is that they're here? What's the name of that movie with the,
Oh, like the poltergeist?
God, yeah, it was just getting so bad.
That's
So
crazy.
when we moved out and it was pretty much empty, Rocky and his friends were leaving. Something pushed Rocky down the stairs and he landed on his knees and he hit the wall. And then his friend said, "Who is that? You better stop." And then his friend got scratched, 3 scratches.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the night we did that investigation live stream, and we could hear it like hissing and growling. We could see globules just coming streaming out of my mom's room. It was just crazy. That we had to get out of there. It was just
You know, a huge part of Las Vegas, as well as Temecula, where I live, is old Indian burial ground, and there are it's like we're all, I don't know how much of it, but a lot of Las Vegas and a lot of Temecula apparently is built over old burial ground, and a lot of people claim in both areas that they have experiences. Now, I had an experience when I was 16 living in Las Vegas with some cousins of mine, and so did they. Before I even like moved in with them, they were having paranormal activity, and apparently they didn't know, but until later when they started talking more about it, the whole building was having the exact, and they would all see the same woman, every single one of them. And but I wonder sometimes, is it the land, is it the house, or is it us? Because I have personally been having experiences since I was very, very young. I'm actually convinced I was just born with it. You know, I don't think it started when I was 4 or 5. I think it was always there. I think it was just my mind didn't know how to make sense of it until I was about 4 years old. Because how do you understand that as an infant or a toddler? You just don't, you know? And so I wonder, because it runs in my family. It's something that I think my dad dealt with his whole life. I've dealt with. I think my son has the same thing. He talks about stuff constantly. As a matter of fact, we had a conversation earlier. It was like very interesting. And anyone who knows him, he has autism. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well. So who knows?
In that instance, I think it was the house.
Really? You think so?
I think it was the house, because when I moved, there's nothing here. It's quiet. But you know what they were doing outside the last few weeks? Ripping up the parking lot. And it just had the same feeling. They were digging up the pipes. The ladies' pipes upstairs were bad. And it was starting to have the same feeling as the house, where all the pipes were going bad. They had the whole parking lot dug up. And what was interesting was they made this ramp from the street right to my doorway. It was almost like I had this just this straight path from the
portal to your door.
Portal. And you know what? It's just weird. Just the amount of weird things. But like I said, you that house needs to be exercised or whatever. They haven't sold it. It's still empty.
Wow. I personally have had paranormal experiences happening probably in, I don't know if it was every single home I ever lived in, but and let me tell you, this is one of the reasons why we're called Midnight GypZies, is because Kim and I have said this story before. We moved around a lot as a child. Kim's family moved around a lot when she was a child. And I basically never went to the same school twice. And so it was just constantly moving and moving. So my mom used to call us a gypsy, and Kim's family Same. And so, it's just really weird because I remember paranormal activity in our home from when I very first realized, okay, I can see things that shouldn't be here. And I hear things that no one else is hearing. And so it started for me, I guess, at that time in life where you're like, now you're old enough to know. And so I don't know if it was 3 or 4, somewhere around there, but 4 or 5, I was like, okay, I realize I'm not normal, and I see things and hear things that not everyone else does. And it took me a really, really long time, and I think it does for a lot of people, to get to a place where you can open up and get comfortable with it, because you don't know how, at 4 or 5, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know how to deal with it. You have no idea what's going on. You just know that there's something weird, and you tell people, they think you're crazy, or, oh, you're fine, and you're just dreaming, go back to bed. You know what I mean? And but it's weird for me because I do feel like almost literally every single house we've lived in, there has been paranormal activity. And so I've always wondered, is it the house or is it me? Is it that they're following me? Is it that they're just always with me? What is it? Because like there has been some crazy things happening. And it's funny, it's not just me though, because certain other people in my family will hear things, experience things, see things. But it's weird because it doesn't happen unless I'm there. That's the strange part. So it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I think it's both. I don't know. I think it's both. Like they were saying that Duncan was saying that certain houses have spirits that just go to sleep. They're just peaceful, sleeping peaceful. Once you start renovating and tearing up walls and stuff, that wakes them up and they don't like it. So,
well, because you're changing what they see as their space. They're there living like they were before. And then here you come in and then you're changing their space and they see it happening. So it's like, you either like live together and respect each other's space, or if you start tearing up their world and their home and what they knew, it's like, hey, this is our space. What are you doing to our home? But they don't realize, I don't think like I said earlier, I don't think some of them realize that they're dead. I really don't. I think they wonder if maybe they're alive and we're dead. I don't know what they really think, but it's interesting because literally, how many times have you heard, okay, how many ghost stories have you watched on TV where almost 99% of the time the people will say, oh, nothing happened here until we started renovating.
Yeah.
And then boom, here comes all this paranormal activity. It's like, you woke it up, And so that's what's going on. I think you're basically, it's like waking the dead, So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if we'll ever truly know all the answers, but it is interesting that there's a pattern. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever have all the answers either. It's crazy.
I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, that we'll ever know, even when we pass on. I do believe that there are different realms, like Duncan mentioned the 9 realms. And I do believe there are humans and aliens and Bigfoot and spirits and all, and there are these different realms, and things are coming in and things are going out, and some things know how to come in and leave, and we as humans, we just don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot for us to talk about. Let's go ahead, and are we going to do our morning show tomorrow, or are you still feeling under the weather?
I'm okay. I've just been, fighting this really bad cold, but I'm okay. If you want to go ahead and do it, we can do it tomorrow. That's fine.
Okay. So let's wrap it up, and then we'll possibly talk tomorrow at 11, and then we'll next week we'll be here with your friend Julia at 7.
My friend Julia Drehos, who's a psychic medium, will be joining us next Thursday. So we'll make a nice video for you. And you guys will get to come on and find out exactly what's going on with her. And she's amazing. And she's got some really cool things that she does in New York. That's where she's from. So I'm excited to have her on. And we've actually worked together on a show, so we'll talk a little bit about it. Can't talk too much about it.
Well, let's have coffee tomorrow at 11 or noon. Is it 11 or noon?
Let's just say noon. That's a better time for me.
Yeah. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon then, Jackie, for some coffee. Yeah. Have a great night. Thanks everyone who listened and who's tuned in. Have a great night,
everybody.